Yo, what's up everybody? It's Connor from Unscripted. Welcome back to the channel where as always we do things off the script. Before we hop into today's video, don't forget to leave a like down below if you enjoy. Leave a comment as well with your thoughts on some of what we're going to cover today. I'm sure some of the stuff you will have thoughts on. And subscribe to the channel as well if you are enjoying the content and looking for more of it in your subscriber box. We're actually 3 subscribers away from my goal of 60 subscribers by the end of April. We have a couple of days to do it, so if you would do that, I would really appreciate it. It would help me grow the channel a lot. It would mean a lot to me, and let's get right into the video from here. So as you see on screen, here are the CDL standings so far. Unfortunately, my head is going to be blocking some of it. But you see FaZe, they're still on top. Dallas, they're still second. Optic and New York, the same top 4 we've had for a while now. Toronto working their way up there after their win at the major. You know, probably outside of Minnesota and Florida, those top 6 teams are who were expected from the beginning of the year. Minnesota and Florida probably would have been in there over Toronto and either the Thieves or New York. But I mean, Minnesota and Florida, they're still, and they're competitive. They're within range. But right now, this is what it looks like. You can't see. So Florida has 70 points. They are 10 points behind LAG, which that 8 spot is important because the top 8 teams make champs. So you need to be in the top 8. Paris and Seattle, which you can't see, both have 50, and then London has 30. Only 2 match wins this year. They are struggling. And then here are the stage 3 standings, which again my head's going to block. You can see all of Group A there. No real big surprises over there. Maybe Florida over Minnesota probably would be considered an upset. But I mean, everything else, LAG, their win was over Paris, so you know, not a huge surprise there. On the other side of things, Optic and LAT both 2-0. New York 1-0 with their win over FaZe, who was 0-1. Then London and Seattle are both 0-2, other than the New York win over Atlanta. Again, nothing super surprising there. It's only been 1 week. I'm sure we will see things shake out a little bit differently maybe in the next couple of weeks, but right now this is what it looks like. Hopping over here, we have some Challengers news. So UYU are the NA Challengers Cup 12 champions with Wiz, Cruz, Welly, and Wand, I guess is how you say his name. I'm not really familiar with these guys much. I have heard of Cruz. I saw that he is the first New Zealander to win a Challengers event, so that's pretty cool. Congrats to those guys. I forget who they even beat in the finals. It was Ramby Bambi and Co. was all I know who it was. I'm not even sure what the team was, but I know Methods slacked their team with Fire, and Decimate got 3rd, so that's what that is. That's probably the most noteworthy team, as well as Triumph with General, and the LAG Academy was in there as well. I think they finished top 6 maybe, I'm not sure. And then on the EU side of things, we had Pain, Nasty, Vortex, and Josh with their win. This was an impressive run for them for Orgless because they were in the losers bracket they had to come up against Elevate in the grand finals, who was undefeated. Obviously, they were in the winners finals, and they won the first best of 5 after I think Elevate is the team that knocked Orgless to the losers bracket. So they had to go through losers bracket. Then they ended up winning the first best of 5, and they ended up reverse sweeping Elevate in the second best of 5. So they clutched up big time. Congrats to those guys from Orgless for their win over Elevate in the finals of the Challengers Cup. Moving along, I thought this was an interesting interaction between Parasite and Tom Gravity. Parasite said, I gotta start tweeting I'm an S tier AR, you too, at Tom Gravity. I guess I'm not really sure what he meant, but I guess basically he's saying like we deserve more recognition for our performance in Challengers basically. And Gravity replies and says, pretty sure I have the most finals appearances in the past 2 years in North America AMs. Still not a lick of recognition. Personally, I have felt I've been a top 5 AR in the world for the past 2 years. I don't know if I'd go quite that far, but I do agree with his sentiment that he is a really good player. Most of the Challengers players that seem to get a lot of the attention seem like they're SMG players, but we don't talk about the ARs as much, but I think he is right there, probably the #1 AR in Challengers. I'm trying to go off the top of my head. Of course, if you want to count like Methods or whatever, but the top AR who has not been with a pro team in any capacity yet, he's very good. I'm high on Gravity. He's performing well so far in Challengers this year. He's a solid player, and I think teams that need an AR, you know, next year, especially if there's an expansion, there's almost no doubt in my mind that Gravity will find his way into the CDL in some capacity if he doesn't even do it already this year. You know, there's still some time left. We'll see, but very good player, lots of potential, and I see bright things in his future in the CDL. Moving over, we have some comments from the Dallas camp after their loss to Toronto yesterday. Rambo Ray said, GG's to Toronto Ultra. They played well and we couldn't take our advantage to the house, and I'm sure you can think of what the replies to this tweet are going to be talking about. You see the top tweet there. Would hate to see your mentions right now. They're probably being nuked. Obviously, shout out to Huke the Nuke. Yeah, all kinds of comments about Huke down here, which is about what you expect in all of these tweets from the Dallas camp. we move over to Hastr0, who says, tough match against Toronto today after the roster move. Going to be a process to figure things out for the Empire. Don't expect immediate results. That's unrealistic. Toronto are playing great COD. GG's. And here's the thing that really that just really irked me about this tweet. He says, don't expect immediate results. But the thing is, you already had results. You had a second place finish at a major. You had a third place finish at a major. And you are the defending Call of Duty League champions. So if you make a very questionable roster move, people are going to expect immediate results. There's no way around that. I mean, what do you expect? You made what is being considered one of the worst moves that you could have made, and until there are results, which there weren't results yet, there's going to be a lot of criticism every time you lose. So I'm just going to keep criticizing them for this move. It didn't work out. I mean, we don't need to see any Call of Duty to know that was a bad move. We already saw one match against the top team. They got smoked. It's not going to work out. I don't know why they did it, and I will keep saying that until they prove me wrong, and I don't think they will. That's my thoughts on that. Another bad tweet from Hastr0 here. Jake Lucky says, all I can think about is Huke taking a 100K pay cut last year just to be benched by Empire and watch him get dusted. Free the man. Hastr0 again says, I don't know where this whole pay cut thing got started, but we pay Kyler super well. Same for last season. Definitely among the top in the league along with our players. Here's the thing. Hastr0 is being weird and defensive again after an Empire loss. That's how he is. But beyond that, this point just doesn't make sense because he says, I don't know where the pay cut thing got started, but we pay Kyler super well. Like, both can be true. He can maybe be making 150K, 200K, and still be on a 100K pay cut compared to where he was last year. I mean, that's possible. They don't have to be separate. They're not mutually exclusive. You can pay him very well, but still could be paying him even better if he didn't take a pay cut. Anthony. I don't know why I said Anthony. Because the comment there says Porter and Ant have both said it. I'm not even sure who Ant is referring to, but yeah. Crim6 definitely has said that in the past. A few other guys have said that in the past. It's true. I believe it. No matter what Hastr0 wants to say, Huke definitely took a pay cut to stay with Envy. He's been with Envy for how long now, and he sort of got snaked by them in the end. So that is what it is. I just thought it was an interesting interaction because Hastr0 doesn't really make sense. You know, he could have taken a pay cut and still be very well paid. That is possible, especially for such a young guy like Huke. Even if he's still making 150K, that's a lot of money, and I'm sure he would agree with that he's being paid very well. So those two are not the same thing. That's all I'm going to say on that whole situation, but I'm sure there will be probably more of it in the coming weeks. But for now, we're going to move on to the Subliners versus FaZe match. Here you see Clayster's tweet. He says, this is responding to a tweet with his stats from the FaZe series. He says, sheesh, saw the horrible stats I had versus the top 3 teams and made it a big goal to perform against them. Got to have my teammates being able to count on me against the top talent. And he is right. He has not been performing. I wish I could find the stats, but he has not been performing the best against the other top teams. I'd say the one good series he did have against the top 3, which I guess is being considered Dallas, FaZe, and Optic, was when they swept Optic in the Stage 1 major. But beyond that, that might be their only win over any of those teams this year. I'm not 100% sure, until this FaZe win, of course. So he's right. They definitely need to be more consistent. And when you look at Clay's stats for this, you can see them at the bottom here. At least you can see his KD, the 1.14. He had almost 20K damage. The thing with that is, when he plays like this, I fully agree when people say he deserves to be considered one of the top ARs in the game. The problem is that he's been pretty inconsistent this year. I think he'd agree with that. He has some really big series, and then he has some really bad series, and that's just the way it's been for him. And it's sort of the team results reflect that a lot. They've been inconsistent too. But the thing is, his good performances have not typically been coming against the good teams. So if they keep coming against the good teams like FaZe, insert Hydra in there, and all of a sudden New York will be a legitimate top team. I think they already are a legitimate top team despite their poor performance at the last major. Now with Hydra in there, and like I said, if Clay can keep playing well, this is a very, very solid team who should be hopeful heading into the rest of Stage 3. Over to the FaZe side of things, we have some comments from Simp. Another day, another Atlanta FaZe throw. GG to NYSL, lost 2-3. I don't really know. I guess he's saying that they threw the search and destroy, which I guess they did. They were up 5-3 before they lost, but New York just sort of clutched up. It's not like that FaZe really choked anything. Plus, New York also choked the control. I think the control was just as winnable for New York as the search was for FaZe. So I wouldn't want to say either team threw that. I guess both teams might have thrown a map that they should have won, but I wouldn't call it a throw by FaZe. I would just say they played well and New York played better. That's the way it is, especially Simp. You know, he played phenomenal. So I know he's not going to throw his teammates under the bus, but he definitely should not be taking this one hard because they played well and he played very well. He continued over here to say, 1 step back, 2 steps forward. We're so close to becoming unstoppable again. Appreciate all the support from all of you guys. Yeah, I mean, they played better in that first search and destroy, then they ended up playing pretty. They blew the lead in the second search and destroy, so they're still the #1 team. They only have 3 map losses or match losses all season long, so I wouldn't worry too much if I were them. They beat a team who just brought in like a generational talent during their honeymoon phase, and they barely beat FaZe. They had to clutch up to win 3 rounds in a row in the last map of the series. So still a very impressive performance from FaZe, and they will be fine. But one guy who has been struggling for the Atlanta FaZe has been Arshades. He says, I just can't find the sweet spot. I guess I need to be more consistent. GG's NY. He's right. I don't want to call him a weak link because he's been playing fine this year, but recently he has been Atlanta's weak link. I mean, Celium has been playing great. He's been playing out of his mind. Of course, Simp and Abizi have just been phenomenal, except this series yesterday. But just in general, they've been very good players. I think those 3 have both been top 5 to 8 players so far over the course of the whole season. And Alec Arshades was playing well, but he started struggling recently, and it's been showing in their team performances. He struggled against Toronto in that tournament finals at the last major. He struggled big time against New York in this one. Clay was getting his number pretty consistently throughout this series, so he'll definitely have to pick it up a little bit if they want to get back to their unstoppable ways, like Simp said, but I'm sure he will. He's been historically a very dependable player, always one of the best in the game, so I have no worries about Arshades. He's just struggling a little bit right now, but I'm confident that he will be back and at his usual self, before long. So that's going to wrap up the video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave a like down below, a comment as well with your thoughts on what we talked about, and subscribe to the channel as well if you enjoyed. I appreciate all that stuff. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you have a good day, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.